Welcome in to the Boys Collective episode number 12 right here on 105.3 The Fan. My name is Kevin Gray alongside Super Bowl winning scout and 1/4 of the G-Bag Nation, Bryan Broaddus. It is game preview Friday as the Dallas Cowboys get a visit from John Elway's squad, the Denver Broncos, coming into AT&T Stadium. Bryan, good morning. Good to see you on this Friday. How are we doing?
Doing excellent, KG. Always fun to have a Friday where you get to break down the opponent. I mean, you start to get things along the week that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of maybe what direction these teams will be going. So to sit down and visit with you about it today is always a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, looking forward to it. A Denver Bronco team that does not have Von Miller anymore. He has been moved on to the Los Angeles Rams. The Dallas Cowboys, though, getting some really good news. It appears that Dak Prescott will be good to go on Sunday and playing quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, looking to win their 7th straight football game. Make sure you subscribe to 105 Through the Fan here on YouTube. You can also find us on 105throughthefan.com and all of our social media platforms. You can find myself on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports, Bryan Broaddus on Twitter at Bryan Broaddus. Let us jump right in then. Cowboys take on the Denver Broncos on Sunday at high noon at AT&T Stadium. The Denver Broncos come into the season only allowing 17.1 points per game. The Dallas Cowboys, one of the top 3 scoring offenses in all of the National Football League, as I mentioned, get their quarterback back in the fold with Dak Prescott. But also some news on the offensive line. Terence Steele is going to be moving over to left tackle on Sunday, while Collins is going to be back at his primary spot at right tackle. Dak Prescott declaring that and making that crystal clear going into Sunday. Mike McCarthy confirming that on Sean and RJ on Friday morning. So your thoughts, Bryan, on Terence Steele moving over to the left side where he took a lot of reps during training camp and practice leading up into the season. Collins now back in the fold, starting at right tackle on Sunday against the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, no, this is one of those things, KG, when we talked about it on our show on Wednesday. Would you keep Terence Steele at right tackle where he has the protection of Zach Martin playing inside of him? I think that was one of those things in my mind. I was thinking one of the reasons why Terence Steele is playing well is because you do have that all-pro guard, and if you do have mistakes, then he's there to kind of clean the messes up. And so this is really interesting because by moving, and we've seen Terence Steele play left tackle in the preseason. He was doing both. And, the fact that, they're really confident that he could go over on that left-hand side and in his mind kind of play in reverse. When you talk about the steps he has to take, the calls he has to make, he has to, in his mind, think about, okay, the play's now going away from me instead of coming to me. There's a lot of things that a second-year player is going to have to deal with. But this, again, shows tremendous confidence by the staff in Terence Steele to get this job done, that they did not want to move Lyle Collins. They were like, no, we'll move Terence Steele, keep Lyle Collins where he's at, and go from there. So, that just once again shows the confidence they have in Steele. I think maybe what we need to think about maybe long-term here is, though, when Tyron Smith does come back, maybe in a couple of weeks, we've talked about, they've said bone spurs. It's been told it's really a high ankle sprain that Tyron Smith's dealing with. This could be a couple of week type of a thing to kind of give him rest. That's what I was told. So maybe we're going to see this for a couple of weeks, and then, that gets Lyle Collins back going again. And then you plug Tyron Smith back in, and now you finally get to see the offensive line together. But tip of the cap to Terence Steele and the way he's played, the confidence that they have. I think it's. I don't know in my mind. I don't know if it's. Are you more concerned about him, or are you more concerned about Lyle Collins not playing for the last 5-6 weeks? That's where I think. The juggling thing. I mean, last week, the juggling decision they had was, do you play Dak Prescott? And they got through that one okay. as we get into the Denver Broncos, this is a team that really is not a great pass rushing team. So maybe you can get away with having maybe Terrence Steele and Connor Williams next to each other over on that left-hand side. I mean, Connor Williams has had his shares of struggles. Mm-hmm. And so you kind of wonder, if how this is all going to play out with Collins, his maybe a little bit of rust, and then Steele having to completely go over to the left-hand side, which he did play in the preseason at times. Okay. Other times, not so well.
And what's interesting about Collins being back at the starting right tackle spot is that we still haven't gotten the combination that we thought that we were going to see at the beginning of the season with Smith, Connor Williams, Broaddus, Martin, and Collins. We still have not seen that combination yet. And I think for now, for Collins, more so than anything, at least from my mind, getting him comfortable back at the right tackle spot, Terrence Steele being able to kind of get back to some of the things that he was doing in training camp. He took a lot of reps at left tackle. He feels, I'm sure, comfortable there too. And I think this is a situation where the Cowboys said, look, if we're going to get him and Collins reacclimated back to this offensive line, let's go ahead and start doing that process now and allowing him to get back to where he feels like he should be as far as that position is concerned.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, KG. I mean, this to me, we might not see the Dallas Cowboys offensive line like we thought in training camp until they go to Kansas City, in 2 weeks' time. So, yeah, now I've said this before. This team has been standing at the craps table with the dice in hand and been rolling, and they've been coming up great. Every time they've been coming up, they've been coming up great, and they're on a hot streak right now when it comes to getting players back. But I'm not going to lie, KG, I thought that Lyle Collins was an immediate plug and play player.
Same here.
And the same thing might happen at wide receiver when you get Michael Gallup back. You think, oh, Michael Gallup, plug and play. That might not be the case. The way that Cedric Wilson's playing, the way that Noah Brown's playing, it's allowed them to kind of work with Michael Gallup in a way that they're not having to rush him back. They're going to have, his health will be fully, the time that he's needed will be fully used. And it's not like, hey, we're struggling to throw the ball and we need a wide receiver. And, we got to rush him out there 2-3 weeks early. That's not the case at all. He has got the full benefit of these wide receivers playing. Now, we had Amari Cooper on our show yesterday on the G-Bag Nation. Mm-hmm. And Amari was talking about his hamstring is still a little sore, but everything else feels good to go. So let's see how that plays out for the wide receivers. They're going to have to make some decisions. Hopefully they can run the ball well enough in this game where it allows them to not to have to just lean on Amari Cooper in this game and maybe give him some opportunities to take a few blows along the way.
Speaking of those wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb's been dealing with an ankle sprain of his own. How is his status going into Sunday when it comes to taking on the Denver Broncos?
Yeah, I asked some guys in the front office about that yesterday, KG, and they were like, no, please don't worry about CeeDee Lamb at all. He will be fine. Again, that was report yesterday. Should go through the mock game stuff that they do, that little bit of practice that they have. But I was told that's fine. So going forward, I think that's a great sign right there. Just rolled his ankle a little bit in practice on Wednesday. So should be good to go for the game against the Broncos on Sunday.
Cowboys have scored at least 35 points in 8 straight home games with Dak Prescott as the starter. CeeDee Lamb happy to have his quarterback back in the fold, but also him continuing to move forward, dealing with that ankle sprain. So let's turn our attention to the game then. So with respect to what you see from the Broncos defensively, how do you think Vic Fangio and this team attacks a very versatile Cowboys offense that can do a lot of things to exploit mismatches, but also take advantage of some matches, including with their personnel? What do you think Vic Fangio may have up his sleeve for the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday?
Well, if you listen to Ed Donatel, who's the defensive coordinator, they interviewed him, and he was basically saying that he's got to find a way to choke the run and then play man coverage on the back end. And does he have the corners to do that? I think he's got one. And we'll see what happens with the whole thing with Kyle Fuller and all that. I think that Patrick Surtain has been really, really good. He plays on that left-hand side, which would be the offense's right. So maybe, he's not a guy that I don't believe that travels a whole heck of a lot. So, if he's not going to travel and he's going to play on your right side, you could formation away from him. You could set things up, and you can make Ronald Darby have to play in this football game. And that's, we're all familiar with Ronald Darby and what he's done throughout his career playing in the NFC East. So I would stay away from Patrick Surtain. I would be very mindful where number 31, Justin Simmons, is, the safety.
Mm-hmm.
If it's going to turn into you having to pass, he really patrols the middle of the field very, very well. He's a guy that intercepts a lot of passes for a safety. I mean, you make a mistake, he is going to pounce. And so if you're the Cowboys, if you're Dak Prescott, you got to be careful. Last week, Cooper Rush threw a couple of errant passes down the middle of the field, caught a break on one of them with the play that went to Wilson, but had another one that was intercepted. So you got to be, Xavier Woods got him on that one. So you got to be very mindful of Dak Prescott of throwing the ball in the direction of Justin Simmons. I have a feeling that Justin Simmons will shade if they go Surtain to one side, and then they'll shade Simmons the other way to try and bracket maybe CeeDee Lamb and say, okay, see if you could beat us with Cedric Wilson, see if you could beat us with Dalton Schultz, or see if you could beat us with the running game. They might be worried about the Cowboys running game, because if you watch how they played against the Browns on the Thursday night football game, their last game, the Browns took it to them. And I think the Cowboys are capable with the backs that they have to just hammer the ball at this Denver defense, wear them down a little bit. And then we always talk about the play action games or the shots that go down the field from Dak Prescott.
The Cowboys have a terrific run game, one of the best rushing attacks in all of the National Football League with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. It feels like a pick your poison type of situation for Denver, because in taking away or trying to choke out the run, Dak Prescott has been willing to be patient and not have to feel like he has to hit the home run every time, and is willing to methodically move the football down the field. So for Ed Donatell and Vic Fangio, it may be a situation where they early may have some success by doing some different things coverage-wise, but once that ground game gets going, it sounds like there could be some real opportunities, as you mentioned, in play action to really take advantage of the secondary, a secondary that does include Ronald Darby, Kareem Jackson, Justin Simmons, and the rookie Patrick Surtain, the second out of Alabama. So let's go to the other side of the football when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys defense attacking this Denver Bronco offense. Micah Parsons, the NFL's Defensive Player of the Week and Defensive Rookie of the Week for the Dallas Cowboys, looking to continue to build on a strong performance that he had against the Minnesota Vikings with 11 tackles, 4 tackles for loss. How does this Dallas Cowboys defense go about attacking Teddy Bridgewater and this offense for the Denver Broncos on Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, the Broncos, KG, are struggling a little bit at offensive tackle right now. It sounds like that Garrett Bowles, their talented tackle, first-round pick from the 2017 draft out of Utah, is not going to play in this game. So look for Bobby Massey, who they got from the Chicago Bears, number 70, to step in. They're going to have to do some shuffling around with their offensive line. It's a line that's, at times has given up some pressure. When you watch Teddy Bridgewater play, generally he likes to flush to his right. So what that means then is, okay, if you've got from their left, if you've got Randy Gregory rushing from his backside, and they're flushing him the other way, if they're flushing him to his right, to the defensive left, now it's going to be about Basham, Golston, those guys, everybody on that left side. It's going to be about them setting the edge and getting up the field and not allowing Teddy Bridgewater to get to the outside to throw. He doesn't want to flush left and throw the ball. He wants to flush right and throw the football. So if the ball's going that way, all those left defensive ends, like outside linebackers, corners, everybody on that side needs to be aware the ball is going to come to that area. So they have to be very mindful that you can't lose contain. You can't let Teddy Bridgewater get outside, on you and throw the football. That's exactly what he wants to do if things break down. But I'll say this, though. This is one of the more talented groups of receivers that the Cowboys are going to play this year. Cortland Sutton is coming home. He's from SMU. He is a big-bodied guy. And, I mean, he's not the fastest or the quickest, but it's better for a guy like for Diggs to cover a guy like this. Size versus size, length versus length. Sutton can catch the ball contested. So Bridgewater's going to try and find him with those passes. So you got to kind of be mindful of that. Jerry Jeudy is more of the quicker, faster guy. So that might be Anthony Brown. And then there's Tim Patrick as another wide receiver at number 81 that I don't think gets nearly enough credit for how well he plays. But they've got three guys that can actually make some catches. They've got some tight ends. Your boy Albert O from Missouri, is a good player, coming back into form, and stuff like that. Noah Fant's on the COVID list. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they play all that. But they've got guys that can catch the football. If they can get the protection, they can make things a little bit difficult for you that way. But again, it's about getting pressure on Teddy Bridgewater and forcing him to try and make some mistakes along the way.
Interesting note with Bridgewater has a better completion percentage on the road at 71.6% this year, 8 touchdowns, got a QB rating of 106 on the road. So a guy who likes to play away from Denver does Teddy Bridgewater, got 13 touchdown passes. Him and Dak Prescott, top 3 in the league in terms of completion percentage, going to be going at it on Sunday. This is a game, as you mentioned, some issues on the offensive line. Randy Gregory continues to play well. I think this is another opportunity for him. I think we say it a lot when it comes to Randy Gregory, but I think this is another game for him where he can have some opportunities to get after this Denver Broncos offensive line and be able to make some plays potentially.
I think, KG, you might see actually some Micah Parsons rush to this weekend too. I think that maybe, Minnesota was more of a traditional offense that plays with a fullback and, but they don't do a whole lot. And so it was more of a downhill kind of an offense. This offense has got a little bit with Pat Shurmur. It's got a little bit more movement to it and stuff like that. But I think this is a game that you're going to see Randy Gregory. I talk about that edge, setting that left edge. If Gregory runs Bridgewater to his right, that's Micah Parsons coming up the field or people like that. That's where I think we're going to see some Micah Parsons. I think you're going to look for Osa Odighizuwa to have some opportunity in this football game. He's a quick guy that can get up the field. They're going to have to play with some quickness. You got to get Bridgewater down. He'll kind of slip and slide in that pocket. I'll say another thing about this team, and I forgot to mention it as well. Melvin Gordon still got some tread left on the tires at running back, and Javonte Williams is a rookie running back they got from North Carolina in the second round. I am really impressed with Williams and what they do with him, handing him the football, throwing him the football. The Vikings tried a little bit of the screen game last week to kind of get some things going. They might try and control the pass rush with some screen stuff, tight end screen, back screens, stuff like that. Cowboys have got to be – they did a great job, Micah Parsons and guys, when the screen did hit, getting over, tackling, -2, -4. You just can't let Williams and Gordon get going running the football, and you can't let them get going in the flat, catching the football and beating you on those types of plays too.
Sounds like the interior of this Dallas Cowboys offensive line is going to get some stiff tests with Williams and Melvin Gordon being able to run the football a little bit there. A stat to know for this game coming from ESPN Stats and Info, the Cowboys have 3,184 total yards this season. That's an average of nearly 455 yards per game. They could become the 15th with over 3,600 total yards with the first 8 games of the season in the Super Bowl era and the first since the 2014 Indianapolis Colts. That is how potent this offense has been so far this season, which gets me to the X factors of this football game. Obviously, Dak Prescott coming back, being able to come back after missing the game against the Minnesota Vikings. Micah Parsons playing well on the defensive side. Give me an X factor or two for this game, particularly on the Cowboys side offensively, that could really dictate how this team moves the football on Sunday, especially knowing that these wide receivers and CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper could have some potential big days maybe.
Dak Prescott has time to throw the football. I do think that they can make some plays against this Denver Bronco team on the offensive side. Now on the defensive side of the ball, real quick. Again, it's those left defensive ends. Is it going to be Micah Parsons? Is it going to be Golston? Is it going to be is it going to be Armstrong? Who is it going to be over there that could maybe benefit from Randy Gregory having pressure in this football game? Whoever's playing that left defensive end, keep an eye on that. Bash them, those guys. See how they're playing against the run, but maybe they're the guy over there that's going to get maybe 1 or 2 sacks just because of how good Randy Gregory's playing on the other side.
Should be interesting to see how the Cowboys are able to attack this Denver offense. And conversely, I think what I'm looking for from the Cowboys, and I'll start on the offensive side, this is a game where we talk about how the wide receivers could have some opportunities against this secondary. And I think the point that you brought up earlier about the running backs, Ezekiel Elliott, who I thought had one of the big plays of the game last week against Minnesota, him and Tony Pollard, that thunder lightning combination, really stressing this Denver Bronco defense to really open up things. Because, again, the Cowboys offense is willing to be patient and willing to take what the defense gives them. And if it means being able to run the football and establishing the run based on how they're able to throw the football. Because I think one of the best parts about this offense is they will always be able to threaten you with the pass, but their ability to balance with the run game, and you have to be aware of Ezekiel and Tony Pollard at all times. It's going to be interesting to see how the Dallas Cowboys attack that Denver Bronco defense, knowing there's always the threat of that home run with CeeDee Lamb or with Amari Cooper, Cedric Wilson getting into the act, and how that obviously helps dictate offensive, principles for the Cowboys. I think defensively for me, I want to see the secondary and how they match up against the receivers. You talked about it, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy and others, Diggs. Look, we're on a podcast. Trayvon Diggs didn't have an interception. He might feel like he's due to go get one on Sunday, and there may be some opportunities for Teddy Bridgewater to go and get something. But for me, I think there's one player who's been really quiet, especially the last few weeks, that I want to see, hopefully, if he can have a little bit of a breakout game, and that's Leighton Vander Esch. You talked about it a little bit earlier, with the running game of the Denver Broncos. Micah Parsons has gotten all the headlines. Keanu Neal's been playing well. Jaron Kearse, all these guys have been playing well. We really haven't heard much from Leighton Vander Esch, and I wonder if this could be a game for him where he's like, hey, let me take some of this onus and responsibility on me to be able to try and make some plays. I want to see if Leighton Vander Esch can get out there and make some plays on Sunday for the Cowboys, because I think he needs to kind of reestablish, himself a little bit this season. Right. So let's get to the predictions of the game then. How are you feeling about the Cowboys on Sunday? Is this a classic letdown game? One of the games that you come off a big road win against Minnesota, you're coming back home for a 2-game homestand before you take on the Chiefs, before you take on the Raiders on Thanksgiving Day. Is this a game where you could see a possible letdown, or do the Cowboys just keep on rolling, especially now knowing that Dak Prescott's back in the fold now?
Yeah, I think this is only a letdown game if, in fact, they turn the ball over. If it turns into a crazy turnover game where all of a sudden it's like they're driving, they're in the red zone. Oh, by the way, there's a turnover here. Now, listen, I'll tell you something I've always said, KG. I learned this from Mike Lombardi, who I used to work with a long time in the league. Be careful of missed field goals in this game, but be careful of the last 2 games. The Denver Broncos have blocked 3 field goals, 2 against the football team and 1 against the Cleveland Browns. If it turns into, maybe something that, if it turns into a game where it's close and tight and they need the points, whatever, keep an eye on what's going on with the Denver Broncos, because Shelby Harris, number 96, is a defensive tackle, plays defensive end some. He has a knack for blocking field goals. You've got to know. I mean, the Broncos, you look at the history of the Broncos, they block a ton of field goals every year. Mm-hmm. It's one of those teams that's weird that way. So if there's an X factor thing in here, Cowboys, if it's tight, tough, need a field goal, please don't let it come down to a blocked field goal. That's the only way I kind of feel like that they might lose this game. I have the Cowboys in this one 30. I have the Broncos 20 in this one.
30-20 from the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broaddus. I'm going to go 34-21 Dallas in this game. I think the Denver Broncos will have some opportunities to make some plays. Look, as good as this defense has been, this is a team in the Cowboys that can give up a bunch of yards in between the 20s and at times can give up some big plays and have given up a lot of big plays, honestly, throughout this season. Teddy Bridgewater could hit a home run or 2 in this game to really help keep the Broncos in it. But I think the Cowboys, as the game goes on, the thunder lightning of Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott will continue to wear down this Denver Bronco team. And I think Dak Prescott will be able to get some shots downfield to really make things happen in the passing game. So I'm going to take the Cowboys 34-21. We both feel like the Cowboys get their 7th straight win of the season as they get a visit from the Denver Broncos at high noon. You can hear that, of course, on your home of Dallas Cowboys football, 105 through the fan, with the voice of America's team, Brad Sham, Babe Laufenberg, and Christy Scales, who will give you all the action. Ari Timken and Brian Broaddus will have your pre- and post-game show for you on the Dallas Cowboys radio network, 105 through the fan. Looking forward to it on Sunday to see if the Cowboys can handle their business, move to 7-1, and keep the momentum going as they begin a 2-game homestand that includes the Denver Broncos and then a visit from Dan Quinn's former team, the Atlanta Falcons, in 2 weeks' time. For the Super Bowl winning scout, Brian Broaddus, 1/4 of the G-Bag Nation, my name is Kevin Gray. This has been the Boys Collective episode number 12 as the Cowboys get ready to take on the Denver Broncos on Sunday. Brian, have a good weekend. Looking forward to talking to you on Monday and recapping hopefully another win for the Dallas Cowboys against the Denver Broncos.
Thanks, KG. Appreciate that.
Appreciate it.